which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public input.
Well, I wanted to, I don't know this is the first time I've attended one of your meetings, so I don't know what your format is.
Loose.
I wanted to, I have something that I've worked on. Of course, if any of you read the Tuftonboro forum, you've probably picked up on my discontent with the way things are going and the way things have been managed. So I don't criticize without coming up with an alternative, and I have come up with an alternative, and I wanted to give you an overview of that alternative. I don't know if you want me to do that before the meeting or after your meeting.
This is your time.
Oh. Okay, well, good. As most of you probably know, I am a supporter of the library. And I have been a good soldier. I've been a good soldier in that I have not publicly dissented from the current plan that has been supported. And I have voted for this plan that you're currently pursuing because I was had a moral conflict, but since I was publicly endorsing it, I felt I had to follow that up with my own vote. Unfortunately, it didn't work. So here we are, years later, same problem, same dilemma. So I wanted to give you an alternative. This is a scale model of the building we're in right now. This is the way the building is. This area right here that I'm showing is this side of the room we're in right now.
Okay.
Right, to scale. See this yellow roof? Okay, this would be the front door.
Existing front door.
Existing front door,
Okay.
only it would be back here, be in the middle. I'm just follow this. The plan's here, but I'm trying to explain this model to you as simply as I can. So this picture right here is looking at this building, standing over there where the fire pond is. Okay?
Can you put that down geographically correctly? Is it like,
right here. Just like that is. This is standing over here, looking at the gable end of the main building.
Okay.
This yellow area right here. This is all the scale. This is a 5 pitch.
All right, now, so the yellow portion is what I anticipate.
It's existing.
No,
Existing?
not all of the yellow portion.
Okay.
I had to make
No,
this
I just
up
want to make
myself.
sure we're all on the same
Yeah.
page, that's all.
These two lines here delineate the current end of the building, the main building.
Okay.
From the gable end. See these two lines?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in other words, the building currently goes like this, an L-shaped. This is exactly the way the roof is shaped, right out here, if you walk outside. Okay, so what I did is I measured the distance we have from the face of the building right out there, that wall right there. From the face to the end of the pavement out there is 52 feet, roughly, maybe a little more. The width of this building right here, the current building the main building is 32 feet. So what I did is I simply took that 32 feet and I put it right in front of this building here, right here. So it takes up 32 feet of the 52 feet of blacktop that's currently out there. Okay. You understand? So this area that I've drawn right here is 20-foot driveway, which if you put a sidewalk and whatnot in, it would probably be reduced to approximately 14 feet. So it would be no lot more than just a driveway. It's existing blacktop. In other words, you don't do anything to the area out there. So this would be nothing more than a drive-in area for either drop-off or book deposits or whatever else you want. Now, none of this area here is touched. This driveway and area remains exactly the same.
Out here, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now we come back to this set building that we're in right now. This is that profile of the room we're in right now, standing out there, looking this way. Okay, you follow me?
Okay, yeah.
So all I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to push it out to the end of the building that's currently there.
Okay.
That's what I did. So now I've made a rectangle. The rectangle is 88 feet, which is the length of the current building right now. It's 88 feet from outside to outside. This part right here. It's 32 feet. I've taken this structure that's the main part of our building and I placed it in front of the building that's there. I've taken this section of building and I brought it out to fill that space, which is the walkway to here. So what I've done is I've created, without a flat roof, 8,624 feet. So we've created 4,720 feet. Okay. This is how it works. This part right here is because this is 98, this is 98 feet. You're going to, if you keep the roof pitches exactly the same, this roof ends up taller than this roof. Because see, this roof here, this roof is 64 feet wide, right? Because I've doubled the space from 32 feet to 64. So if I pull the same roof lines that they currently have, this is going to be approximately, I have to get my scale out. This roof will be 32 feet high. It'll be lower. So, but for purposes of my modeling, I put this little piece here, which can remain and can be louvered, but there's nothing keeping you from running this angle up into here. So this would be a hip roof. You would never notice this. You could put a nice curved cupola on there that would be functioning and have the curved base. So you'd have a nice cupola here sitting out that everybody would see. Put a little worm up there. So what this does is this allows you to start construction right now, because you can use the library and you can keep this going in sections. You have full absolute control and flexibility with this design. The reason is that since these roof lines all stay the same, that means they all stay shingled. You do not have to strip any roof. I've just checked all this with Parsons. So you simply build onto this roof. You don't even have to strip the shingles. You just take a few of the crown off and you move this up to this point here, which would be the edge of the current building, and then you put your wall and you do all this. You can build and watertight the entire structure before you decide to remove any of the supporting walls. Of course, when you remove those supporting walls, you can pick the time of year that you want to do that. And you can remove them and decide what type of a beam you want to use to load. That would dictate where your posts would go. The heavier your beam, the wider your post separation would be. You also have the ability with this design. Now these roofs are about 9 feet, 9.5 feet, the ceiling. You have the ability to, if you felt like going with a higher ceiling than this, you can put tray ceilings in this. Of course, they'd have to stop where your supports were, but nevertheless, this seems like it's plenty high to me. Okay, what you can do, and what I mean by this is, Jack Parsons has assured me that I can state this publicly and use his name as a reference. He said this building could be done for between $150 and $250 a square foot, which if you take the higher figure and you figure that I've added 5,000 square feet, you're coming in at about $1 million, a little over. If the numbers that I've just received are correct, you have $400,000 that the town has already appropriated, $180,000 of which you are free to use for creating a parking lot or any of the other areas you need for implementing this construction. You also have $280,000 that, from what I understand, is in a bank account that you've already collected, and you have $60,000 that's pledged. So if you take all those numbers together, that's $740,000 that you have. But the great thing about this plan is you can choose to start this. The first thing you would have to do is choose to put your parking lot in, and it would have to be roughly in the same area that you had chosen for your building that would be in the woods. And that is, you have to span roughly a 20-foot area of wetlands, which is what you'd had to do with the building that was in the woods, and place your parking area over here. interesting thing about this is your distance from your parking space to your building is about the same distance that you had on your new construction for the majority of your parking space to the building. You know, you drive right by this area here, does not change. That parking, that blacktop area out there remains the same. So you would have some parking close to the building. Majority of the parking would be out over here. You could create a nice little walking path over the wetland area. You can take this, you can start first on your parking lot, and then you decide you want to build the front section first. You can do that, you can complete it, then you can start the other piece. In the meantime, while this is being constructed, you can use this entry right here for your entrance to your building. You can do this, you can start funding this right now, you can do it. If in the course of the project cost, you anticipate your costs are going to be, instead of the $700,040 that you have right now, you're going to be running into $1 million. You can create a warrant article for $300,000. You can vote it with a majority vote. You don't have to have 66%. For a warrant article, we've done that with fire trucks. We've appropriated $500,000 for a fire truck purchase in 1 year. You only need a majority vote. You can proceed with this project starting right now. You will have 400 square feet more than the building you are currently advocating across the street, that I was currently advocating across the street. Your core is evaporating. I run into people all the time at General Store. I run into Helen. I made my views known to Helen. She got it communicated to you last year. I run into other people. I've run into numerous people on this advisory committee that I was on. 2 of them are no longer going to vote for the library. Jim Allen's not here anymore. I'm not voting for this library over across the street anymore because I've got a solution that doesn't require any more attention in the town. It starts to take the first step towards solving the infrastructure problems that this town has got to resolve. So that's 4 out of the 9 people that were a member of the advisory committee that are no longer there for a vote. I intend to show this to selectmen and remind them of their duties to the town as a whole. And I'm thinking you're not going to get 66% of the vote after I go forward with this. And I'm giving you the opportunity to get a hold of an architect who can design this. The other great thing about this is you can leave your bathrooms the way they are. In the end product, this can be your meeting room. So you still have roughly your same setup and access, so this building becomes more than twice, because it's 56 feet from the face of that outside wall to the end of the building. So you are almost tripling the size of your current meeting room if you want to leave the structure the same. I don't see a downside to this. In fact, you can do all this. You are essentially building off of a trust that's designed by following this all stays the same. You do not ever have to take that roof down. You do not have to take this roof down. This all stays the same. You leave it in place. You can talk to any builder you want. I've talked to Fenton Barney, talked to Jack Parsons. I'll be willing to talk to Harlow. I've talked to Croto. I'm willing to talk to any builder out there. Any architect you've got. I would like to see you guys call Ron Lemire. You make a deal with him. You say, hey, we want you to design the inside of this. We want you to do the architect work on this. We'll give you, you negotiate a deal with him. $15,000 would probably get you all the prototype stuff you needed, with the promise of him being the architect. He's probably a very flexible guy. He'd probably be willing to work terms with you on payment so that you could get going on this at the same time you're building and he's drawing. This is all doable. I've got it down here, several of these drawings. I was explaining this to my wife, who didn't understand, which is what caused me to build a model. So that it would be easy enough for you guys to all see exactly what you would be refusing to do if you made that decision to go forward with what you're doing. And so I appreciate everything you guys have done. I appreciate all of the disappointment and all of the struggle and all of the anger that you've had to endure. But I can't support what you're doing anymore.
Well, you do know that we have a capital campaign going to raise money.
That's fine.
And we have a goal, and no, I'm not trying to be argumentative,
Yeah.
I'm just stating where we are, that we have a capital campaign, that we're looking to raise $500,000, because in our opinion, the reason that it failed the last time wasn't that it's a bad plan for across the street, it's a great plan. It's a great future for the town, and it gives what other people, other members of the community, have thought what is the best use for this existing building. Why did we fail? We failed perhaps because we didn't have enough money. So if we raise $500,000, okay, that gets us well up over $1 million figure in what we already have in capital reserve and in our previously raised money. Yeah, this is a very interesting concept, and
well, if you think that you'd still be, even if you raise your $500,000, given the tight labor conditions in construction, and right now John Librarian is no longer doing construction, the outfit that he's using that's replacing is mostly out of Maine, most of the contractors are out of Maine. You're finding, and I can tell you firsthand, that labor rates for contractors are going up rather substantially. If you think that you still won't need to be coming to the town for $1 million, I think you're wrong. I think you're going to need to come to the town for another $1 million. But beside that, I don't care. I don't see any reason why you would turn down an extra 400 square feet and a building with no flat roof that can be implemented immediately for an unknown. If you really think you're going to get 66% with the selectmen knowing about this project, with all the people I know, the fire department people, the police people, all the other people that I know that are sick, they want the library just to go away. And if they know this is a proposal out there, they want the funding for it. They want the whole controversy to be gone.
I don't mean to laugh about it, but it's just, the library could have gone away for about 7 or 8 votes, and it's unfortunate that it didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be sitting in a new library this morning, and we're not. And I appreciate you working hard on this and doing something with it. I think to me, there's a lot of unknowns still in here. And one of the unknowns is, what do we do with the inside of this building? You're telling us that we can just keep going and keep the library open. Well, we may need to move walls. We may need to...
You don't have to do anything. You can, that's what I'm offering you, the opportunity to take this plan and show it to anybody you want that's in the construction firm. I've just got done talking for the last couple of days to the code enforcement officer, who's assured me that we do not need to take any of the roofing off to expose any of this to.
no, I don't think.
No, I'm talking about the
talking about internal.
I know, that's why you would like
I mean,
to have an architect, and that's what I was going to discuss is, your bathrooms stay the same. You can actually come off of your bathrooms with your kitchenette and eating area for your staff, because you would just tie into the existing plumbing right there. This room stays accessible from the outside. That door stays there so you could close it off. A lot of it's already built in. That's the beauty of the whole thing. The only real options that you would have to discuss is whether or not you want to take that outside wall out in order to make that portion of the building open to your meeting room. But however, if this is a meeting room, that's really not necessary. The only wall that definitely will have to come down is the forward wall. The front of this building would have to go down. I would suggest not using the same brick facade that you have now. I would suggest keeping the brick facade that is out here on this side, since it's a back wall, but I would use a different material, perhaps a clapboard siding or something else for the majority of your building, since the siding on this front gable end over here would probably come off in order to make it continuous, or you have the option of using the brick, since it's only a 34-foot width area that you would need to continue using the brick. But you could keep your facades the same. Look, I'm a pro-library person, and as I said, I have supported your efforts, and I think you've made a number of mistakes, and I'm not going to count what those are because they're not productive. They're not going to solve the problem. This solves the problem. And if you want to get hold of an architect, be my guest. I definitely think you need an architect involved in the project.
This couldn't go forward without.
You can't go forward without it. And from the conversations I've had with Fenton Varney, and he was involved with the Abernathy construction, I think you might, although it may be slight difference because this is handled by you guys as trustees, you might not have to have a contractor that's bonded to do this. If you have to have a contractor that's bonded, then you have to go with Braun.
We do, it's a town building, we
Yeah.
have to
It's
have,
a town
it has to be
building.
bonded.
Make the decisions.
Fine, that
with
means
the-
your contractors have to be of a certain scale, and nobody around here has got that scale to bond. So you're gonna have to talk to the guy that we were talking to through the development of the building over there, and you're gonna have to get his bonding and the architect and his suggestions on what phases you wanna start on. And you need an architect that's showing you what you can do with the inside of this thing. And if you want to, you know, look, I understand you're upset. You've had your dream.
No, what?
That was your dreams.
No, it wasn't my dream, and that's just it. It was not my dream, and that's why I felt, and I don't want to discuss what happened because it's history. I'm just pointing out that I supported it, and I did not publicly speak against any of it, and I actually voted for it. Those are facts. So, I'm telling you I'm not going to do that any longer, and I've given you an option that gives you more square footage and no flat roof, and it could be a beautiful building. The scale of that building, roof line to wall, is far more balanced than the firehouse, and I've shown this to one of the firemen who agrees that the firehouse roof line is way over top heavy, and the project that is currently slotted for across the street. That's a 32-foot high peak at the biggest peak right there. And it's roughly a 9.5-foot wall that I've got right there. Yeah. Have a great deal of flexibility. Okay, so I guess I'm through.
Can you just, before you go, that's the front of the building, right there?
Yes, on the
Can
front,
you just
yes.
send, all right, okay.
I will sit down, make a nice wooden one. I could take the roofs
No,
off.
it's very,
I could take the roofs off, cut my tape, take the roofs off. You'll see exactly how I've put my partition walls in, just as they are here. And how it all lays out.
If that's the front, I mean, an architect could, of course,
yeah.
make it look better than that.
You could do
when
whatever
it's
you want.
nothing.
Yeah. I'm just showing you, this is what the roof angles would be like. This is what your peak would be like. As I pointed out, this roof line could actually continue on for my construction purposes, so this peak would be back in here.
Oh.
You would never even see this.
I know, you can put dormers on the front, you can do all kinds of stuff.
I'm quite excited about this because of the fact that you can start immediately. And I know there's an architect out there that'd be willing to work with you.
You
Well,
know,
there are plenty of architects out there.
Skip, that's very, very clever. I would like more assurance on your numbers. That's what I would want.
Well, I mean, it's,
Well, no, obviously we'd have to run numbers, but furthermore, I don't think, I would personally be a little reticent to start a project without having the dollars in hand, or at least having the assurance of the dollars.
Right.
So obviously that means that
Whose dollars?
All the
a
dollars.
dollar,
You mean the cost estimates?
well, cost estimates, B, approval of the town. I mean, we got new.
If we need that, go ahead.
Sorry, no, we ran into a certain amount of difficulty the last time because the LBAC groups had, voted to go forward with a much more extensive set of plans than we had certainly before we started the fire station. So that if the vote was successful, we'd be out of the ground in June and save an awful lot of money by not having to tent up and that sort of thing over the winter. Do you remember correctly?
Yes, I remember.
And so the selectmen, voted to, release $80,000 plus the engineering fees that we paid for the borings across the way. And you know what, we ran a little bit of a buzzsaw on that, thinking that we were doing the right thing. Consequently, I would like to see, if this was something that the trustees were to pursue, and the selectmen wanted us to pursue, because they do control the purse strings, to get some firm numbers in there and figure out, are we going to have to, could we start now with what we have, the money in hand, if this was to come to fruition? How much more are we going to have to go to for town meeting? Or do we wait for town meeting?
If you're saying that we don't have enough information, you are absolutely correct. We do not.
Well, we
have
don't,
enough
obviously we don't,
information.
but it's.
I'm not saying yeah, but I want to stress that you can do this front part first and shape this roof. That means you just do that, and this roof, this building, this roof all stays the same. So this is the beauty of it, because you can do it in stages, and you have the money to do it in stages. If you see a cost overrun, you can do appropriations for several $100,000 at town meeting each time. So you do not have to ask for one large sum. This is what makes this, extremely attractive and doable.
Now, have you discussed this with the selectmen now? Or is-
No, I am
Okay.
going to, I am not going to present something to the selectmen without having first informed you guys of what's
No, I
going
appreciate
on.
it.
I'm going to schedule a meeting, and I ran into Chip Albee at the general store, and Bob Tev was involved in the conversation, and I asked him about the library. And I think he's wrong in his assessment, that he said the reason that the last plan did not go was because it wasn't competitively bid. And, Chip's a politician. He's not going to be he's on record as saying he's not going to be supporting this building across the street. I specifically went to the candidates night to ask these people, what were they thinking when they first rejected the proposal and made the suggestion that perhaps the addition was not the right way to go. I think that this was probably one of the first mistakes that management made, was forcing that vote at that time, because they were overwhelmed with a number of other projects, and they just wanted that particular vote off the table so they could solve some of the other problems. And perhaps, as they admitted at the candidates night, they didn't have a plan. They were just making a statement that they didn't know that the addition was the right thing to get it off the table. Albee's come out at that candidates night and said he was not supporting the plan as it is. Maybe he would support it if you had a competitive bid. I don't know. I think once I present this to them, I really have a hard time believing that they're going to reject it and promote spending $1 million more. I mean, any way you slice it, this is not going to cost what the one across the street is costing, because we've already got a given square footage that's complete.
I understand that.
Can you explain for others, Skip, please, the parking?
Well, the parking would be essentially any way you want to do it. The only thing you have to do is cross a 20-foot
So what,
wetland.
I mean, I've never been out there to know.
No,
where-
you'll go up what was
The
when
driveway.
what was the old driveway, and you would have what was going to be the lower parking area. I assume that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
So distance-wise, for someone to park out there,
20-foot walk. About the same as what you do at Wolfboro when you park in the lot and you walk to their front door. You have the option, as I said, with leaving all the parking spaces that are right out here. None of that.
Well,
You have
is there.
to for handicap.
For handicap.
But this is the beauty of it. You don't even have to repave that. I mean, you know, I would probably suggest, I would suggest repaving it when you did your 20 feet, but you only have to go bridge a 20-foot wet area, and then that can come all the way up into here, you know, with your parking area. There's no, I mean, you know, I'll let you guys work it out with the architect on what you want to do, but that's the first thing that would have to be done, without a doubt, is you have to create your parking space, which you already have $180,000. It's been thoroughly vetted. It was, it's your discretion to start spending that for exactly something like that parking lot.
When do you plan on having a conversation with the selectmen?
I'm gonna go see what their calendar is and when I can get on it. I'm
Okay.
doing this right now. I don't have a lot of time. Right now,
Well,
I
this is
have-
everybody's busy time.
I have a week or two that I can spend on this, and then I'm through. I mean, you know, as far as, I'll wait until I see what your reactions are going to be. I'm fully prepared to publicize this in a lot of ways. I really think it's a doable idea.
No, I would be very interested to hear what the selectmen have to say.
Oh, I am. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Mary?
Well,
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to actually visualize what the inside is gonna look like, and to me, that's key, all right? And I can't, I like the look of the outside. I wouldn't say today, if you said to me, vote on this today, I wouldn't say, no, I can't do that because that's terrible, but I couldn't vote on, or make any really,
I would suggest
Productive
getting an
statements about
architect
this.
right away, getting involved in this.
well,
I think you can make this building. I mean, I
Right.
think Skip's right, and there's really just two questions in my
Yeah.
mind. I
How far?
think the parking works, I think, but I'm not sure of it. And the other thing, what are the real costs?
Right.
That comes down to, and if
Yeah.
you save $1 million, you better have a good reason why you didn't save it.
right, exactly. I mean,
Well, obviously,
I'm all for
if you do
saving
it,
money and I'm all for,
if you do it in stages, you're going to have to factor in some cost creep, because,
I wouldn't want to do it in phases. I would just want to get it done.
Right, get it
and
done.
Do what we
Well,
need to
Well,
do.
that might
That's
have
done.
some implications for library operations,
Yeah.
too.
Right.
Yes,
If
it
we're
might.
staging it, you could,
If you had all the money
Function.
approved, if you can approve everything, but I don't want to say, oh, this year we're going to spend $500,000 and do
your
this.
construction foreman, you know, was it Brown Company?
Bowen.
Bowen Company. They should be able to give you the breakdown on the stages, what the cost would be, what the timeframes would be, and make suggestions on when you would want to remove your exterior wall. I would assume probably sometime in the winter, and then what the timeframes would be for, you know, your exact finishing. I mean, those are the people that, your architect and your construction manager are the two people that would answer most of your questions. And so the sooner that you talk to an architect,
well, Skip, can I ask that you not approach the selectmen until we've had a chance to discuss this a little bit, and approach an architect perhaps, and approach, someone with heating and ventilation in the building? I mean, this is an old building, and we need to be able to see what the implications of that are down the road for long-term costs, the electricity. I mean, there's a lot
Look,
involved
there's
in that
nothing-
new building. I mean,
yeah, I know.
You
But
know?
if you're saying that, I mean, come on, let's think rationally. You're talking about
I'm thinking
this.
rationally, excuse me for a minute. I'm thinking rationally, and I'm not saying that I'm opposed to this, but I think that this is the first time we've seen this. I'd like to have chance for the
know,
trustees to
Marianne.
discuss this.
I think we need to proceed with all possible speed.
Well, I think we could proceed with all possible speed, but I really want to make sure that we're not just jumping into something because it's going to pass.
Why
I
don't
want
you
to make
have
sure
that
that it's going to suit
No,
the
no.
needs that
Marianne,
we have.
that's not the point at all. We have an idea that's out there.
Yes, I like the
If it's a
idea.
good idea, we need to find out. If it's a bad idea, we need to find out. Because, you know, next
Exactly.
March is not that far away. And
Bingo.
so we gotta know, I mean, this idea is not gonna go away.
I know
so-
it's not gonna go away, but I'm saying, can we
So
have
let's
it
either
before
prove
you
or
go to
Yeah,
the
I know, that's what I'm
selectmen?
trying to address. You're asking me not to go to selectmen with this.
Selectmen,
I'm going to
until-
go to the selectmen with this, and what they decide to do, and what decisions they decide to make is in completely their hands. You can ask them not to make a decision on it.
No, he
No,
should
no,
go
no,
to
no,
the
no,
selectmen.
I think
Yeah,
it's
you have-
key.
He should go to the selectmen
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Find out what they want to do.
Yes.
That's exactly.
I know, but we gotta be part of that too, Mary, and that's the thing.
Well,
We
that's,
gotta
I
go to
would
that
like
meeting as
it
well.
to be more that we agree with you and the selectmen, and we're all moving forward together. That's what I'm saying. I don't want this to get out in the public, and then we come back and look like the
It's
people
going
who
I
are
look like the
opposing it.
fool
It's
if
going on
I'm
in
wrong.
public.
I look like the fool if I'm wrong. You have not adopted anything. The selectmen have not adopted anything. I'm simply making a presentation. I'm not going to stop making a presentation because of your fears. Thank you.
Well, I don't think fear factors in the equation.
It's not
I think
fair, I'd like to be in support of you, Steve. I didn't like the building that you presented across the street because of the up and down stairs. That was the only reason that I didn't like it. I like the idea that you were willing, and I love this idea, that you're willing to come back to us again, that you, I love persistence.
I want to make it clear, because the obvious question is,
I'd love to
where
be
the
able to
hell were
support
you?
this.
Where the hell were you, Skip? Why didn't you think of this earlier? And I made a critical mistake. I just assumed that a new construction would be more cost-effective and better than what I'm proposing now.
And it still may be true.
Right.
I don't see how it's going to meet it. I mean, we're talking $1 million in difference right now, just on a base cost. And we're talking, believe me, I'm responsible for the participation and the creation of the building across the street. It's somewhat humiliating, but I'm looking at
But
the
you're-
results of what can be done. What I've had a,
You're talking about raw square footage cost, correct? Paul, could you slide back just a little bit, say Thank you.
no, I'm,
When you're throwing, putting your numbers out, I assume you're talking about raw construction costs, correct?
no,
You're not talking about interior renovations and what's going to be, it's one thing to say, okay, we're going to take down that wall, but obviously there's going to be an awful lot more interior work that's going to need to be done.
Right. I'm basing it on commercial construction costs, and they range from $150 to $250 a square foot. Now, that range is based on what materials you use, what kind of other heating systems,
All right,
I'm
okay,
taking,
fine.
that
was my question.
I'm taking the range, and I'm saying, let's assume this is on the high range for the new construction. That still puts the whole project at $1 million for the new foot. Now, you could say, maybe we'll affect another 20,000 here or there for removal of a wall or something, because obviously removing things is not part of new construction. New construction is based on the square footage that I gave you, based on new construction. It's not on taking things apart. So, obviously, but there's no way it's going to be $1 million.
My question was, when you were factoring your numbers, that you were thinking in terms of not just brick and mortar, you were also factoring HVAC into it, electrical work,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, but a lot of those things are already completed. We already have electric plant. It would have to be upgraded, obviously. You'd have to have a greater amperage put in. Look, I'm suggesting you get a hold of a really competent architect. I think I've already made my choice, and I'll remind you that Wolfboro vetted like 3 times the architects we vetted. And I'm sure they were aware of all the picks out there, and they picked the guy that
They
I
did, it's a
wanted.
pretty good plan, too.
And it's a
I've
really
seen
good
it.
plan.
It's also
And-
not awful expensive.
And I have confidence in this guy's ability to execute.
I think any of the architects that we talked with years ago would
Probably.
be competent to do it.
I'm sure you're probably right. I'm just letting you know my
I
preference.
understand
Yeah,
that.
no,
That's fine.
and they're a good architect. They were my second choice.
All right.
And word is that SMP was that close to getting the Wolfboro job. Just your guy, our guy, they're
I know,
all good.
it's all, it's,
But that's,
I'm
that's
not, it's
irrelevant at this
old,
juncture.
it's old news.
So, what I would like to, my druthers would be to see if you make your presentation to the selectmen, and if we know when it's going to be, just so we can go as, just as interested parties, to hear what they have to say.
I think that's correct.
And then,
No problem.
we would, and then if it's something that they're saying this is a much better idea, then, well, they're saying it's a much better idea than what we're doing.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
gonna be it's gonna be very hard to, I know you said you had your people who say that they would not vote for the library plan across the street.
I don't know the reasons.
Well, we have, it got 60% plus of the vote
I
the
understand.
last time. And, we have, at this juncture, in our quote-unquote quiet phrase of our fundraising, which we're at about $100,000 in cash and cash equivalencies right now, without really even going out and starting beating the bushes to raise money. That being said, obviously I'm going to discuss what you've discussed with us this morning with the fundraising committee to see what their opinions might be. But let's leave it at this. Let's make your presentation to the selectmen. We'll be there, and if they're saying it's something perhaps we should, then let's get one of our architects up to take a look at it, sit down, take an hour or so, a couple of hours to see what they might think about it.
I think for purposes of my own confidence level, I would be reluctant to go to the ones that have designed the building across the street to
I don't think
analyze
they
this.
have. Don't think they would have an axe to grind. I really don't.
Well, then,
Because
if that's the case, then let's just find an impartial new architect that would give us a breakdown on that. You don't have to make a full commitment to the guy.
I don't think.
I'm very suspicious because, I don't want to go into, I think it would be the healthiest, safest, best way to remove any and all possible controversy if you had a new architect look at it.
Well, we could debate
You
that.
pick whoever you want, other
We can
than the
debate
guy
that.
that's currently.
One way or the other, a qualified architect is going to have to come in here and take a look at and say, yes, this is great, but this needs to be
I'm not
addressed
saying
as well.
that shouldn't happen. I am advocating for a qualified, I'm simply stating that you should not use the architect. People that have any questions will say, well, why would the architect that's going to get the job for that one want to torpedo his own plan, his own work for another guy's work?
Because business is business.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that argument is going to be a harder sell than to avoid the argument at all.
It
That's
might
what I
be
was
skipped.
trying to
It might be.
stress.
When we go back, Christy, to when our original, one of the ideas was, could we do an expansion here? Who did we use?
Tom Wallace, who's long since retired.
So-
But his partner was Peter Tennant,
Tennant.
who
Who they designed,
And they
well, Tom
designed,
actually
Yeah, that
designed
building.
that building.
Yes.
and who we interviewed for
And then
across
he
the way as
retired.
well.
And Peter, we all.
You could get, you could get anybody, I don't care, but not the guy that's done the work over there. I mean, why
No, I-
create a
I-
controversy?
I don't think there'd be controversy at all. If you present to somebody and say, look, we have a different project in mind, we need your ideas on this. I don't think they're gonna, I would really debate for a long, long time that they're gonna say they're prejudiced against the project because they did what we told them to do.
I'm not,
In the same token here.
I'm not suggesting that you aren't correct. I'm suggesting that you avoid a possible controversy altogether.
Well, I think your concept of controversy and my concept of controversy might differ, but that's still a little bit earlier in the game until we
Yeah.
find out what the selectmen have to
yeah,
say.
we
Okay.
need to, yeah.
That's
We
fine.
need to have that conversation with the selectmen.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to present this. I'm going to need to take this to the selectmen. I can
That's
leave
fine.
it with the selectmen, and
That's
they
fine.
can, and you can talk with them about it.
Yeah,
And
that's-
can I say one thing before
Yeah.
you leave? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Because when you were saying that you were a library person, you are. Because some of you didn't
Right.
care about the library will not go through this effort.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have spent that amount
And
of time.
I also am conscious of asking people to give me money for something they may never use and don't think is relevant. And I think every effort should be made to demonstrate to them that we are saving them as much as we can. And that's why I got in it in the first place, because I was looking. I had stayed out of this thing. I did not want to get involved. And I kept waiting for a selectman or somebody on the management to say, why don't we just move this thing across the street and save some money over...
Just out of curiosity, what
Construction
then are
costs.
your thoughts for the police?
Well, they build it across the street. They've already had
Why
that
should they
study.
and not us?
Because we can do this cheaper.
But
That's what I just pointed out.
then you're going to double the cost of the police.
No, it's not.
It's
I'm going
$300,000.
to address that later when I
It's-
speak.
It's 300,000. It's
Okay.
the plans for either using this building and constructing a new building. That's already been done. They've done all their work.
Okay,
Skip, can I just ask, could you, and I know this is a lot to ask because you've done a humongous amount of work. I know what it's like to build
Aren't you?
it.
2 hours.
Yeah. Can you make one that the top would come off?
Yeah, I was thinking if this goes anywhere, I don't want to put any more
Well,
effort
no,
into
you make
this.
a different
no.
one. You just draw on a piece of paper what the floor plan is here.
Here's the
and
floor
what the new
plan,
floor
right
plan.
here. See, here's the floor. The purpose of this was just to show you that the roof works, because it's harder to draw
Yeah.
a roof on
Yeah, yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
Here is
Wait a minute.
the
Turn
current
this so I can,
footprint.
oh, this is the front, all right.
No, this is the front. This is the way this would sit, like this.
All right.
So this is over the
Okay.
footprint. Here is the current library you're in. You see these lines going this way?
Yeah.
This is where we're sitting. This is the main library. I'm taking this, I'm putting it here. Same space. I'm making this roof. This is the middle of the roof now. Same pitch, right here. This is this side profile. This is the front door.
Yeah, this is the front, though.
Yeah. See, this is
Right.
how this would
Yeah.
sit.
That's what I'm.
So I'm suggesting you do this first. You create this peak. You pull this up, that you keep this hip the way it is. This is already just like this. Then you come back and do this, and that's when you create this roof. You could do it in stages. You could price this out. You could then come back, price this out. The fact is, you don't need a 66% to do any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that, yeah. Well, we don't think we do. I mean, we have to really
I'm
see the
sure you
report.
don't.
Yeah.
And this would be a great drive, drop off books, drop off people. You put your doors, you put your door here for this, you put another door here, you put doors wherever you want. You know, your architect will, a guy like Lemire will definitely have you salivating at your possibilities.
Okay.
I want to hear what this guy's got to say.
Yeah, what do you got to say?
Well, it goes in a couple of stages. The first thing I wanted to address was the Nancy Pelosi, well, like an ultimatum kind of thing that's going on. A previous Board of Selectmen, basically, after being beat on for a number of years, admitted that the plan, and that's the only plan that will ever happen, is we got to build a new library so we can use the old one for a police station. And that's all they would accept. Well, now we have a different Board of Selectmen, and all of a sudden, two previous selectmen have, on many subjects, have done 180-degree turnarounds in their thinking. Who knows what they're going to think about the library situation. And my thought, and we know from the, a little investigation, we have over $1 million that we don't need to have in the undesignated fund balance. We have enough in capital reserve to build a brand-new police station, according to the numbers I've found from the police facilities report. There's also a 2-acre lot right at the end of Union Wharf Road in 109A that could be bought for the assessed value of it. It was purchased to put in a daycare center, and they could not get the financing. They'd love to get out from underneath of it. If we built that police station there with virtually no impact on the tax rate, people would love that. Then, when we go to build a library, which you could build the current condition, whatever it might be, build that building for the 2.1, whatever it turns into, because you're going to be collecting more funds. We now have a building sitting here that's available, and basically what we end up doing is we get 3 buildings for about $300,000 over what the renovation and building of the new building over there would cost, which is, to me, a win-win situation. It could even, and this is not popular, but you could even build less library over there and use this as a community center, which would pull a lot of the functions that currently occur here out. It might even create a job or two between cleaning and maybe staffing it for snowshoe rentals and things like that. And I'm never against creating a job in town, because as we know, employment opportunities there are virtually nil. But in the past, the trustees, when questioned about using this facility as a police station, said that's really not in our purview. And you're absolutely right. But it's been perceived as, we don't care. We don't care about what they do with this building after we're out of here, okay? That's the perception in the crowd that I run with, which is a much different crowd than you folks obviously run with. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, it doesn't get you votes. I would just recommend, no matter what, don't say things like that. Don't say that's not in our purview. Say we understand that, and I just don't let that happen again. That's one of my things.
I think we as a group of trustees are acutely aware that those projects, even though we're going to be we're not to be presented at the same time.
Yes.
We're pretty much linked together.
Yes,
And
you folks do that.
And it's very, very difficult, looking at the space needs of the town, to unlink them. Because library first, police station,
Yep.
one of them is going to, you're going to need to do one in order to do the other,
Yes,
probably.
and that, to me, was the Nancy Pelosi solution.
Well-
You gotta do one thing before you do another, and you gotta spend 2.1 million before you can spend another million to renovate a building. That doesn't need to be that way. And I think that has hurt your efforts to get a new building. I don't know how you dispel that, but
Well,
you folks are the lead on this thing, and I mean, you guys are working hard. I hate to see it get torpedoed by something as crazy as a board of selectmen just making this ultimatum. It has to be this way, when it doesn't.
Well, Guy, I think, I beg to differ with you that we don't care what happens to this building. That, we do care what happens to this building. We're all taxpayers, number one.
Yep.
Number two, the last time the library vote failed, we had a person stand up and accuse the accuse the trustees of being deceitful. And I was very offended by it, and I spoke against that person. This person stood up and at town meeting said, well, the trustees are saying they're going to give the town back the building, but just wait till you see what happens with it.
Yeah, that was-
And we had to explain that it is not within our purview. We do not own this building. We only own the ability to do what's inside this building and to keep this building going as a library. We don't own the building, and once we leave that building, we have nothing to say about it other than what we could say as taxpayers. So I disagree that it isn't within our purview, and the town needs to understand that. The town owns this building,
Well, I
and
think-
the selectmen have the right to do what they want
I
with
think
this
I did
building.
mention that it was explained that it wasn't in the trustees' purview to worry about
It
what
isn't.
happens afterwards. But the perception was that you just didn't care.
Well, we've
No,
always
didn't
known
know
our
that.
priority.
But perception is everything.
But,
Yes, you're
Guy, I'm saying to you that the perception that was presented at town meeting was that we were deceitful about what was gonna happen to it. And that is not the case. We don't have any right
But
to
you're
do
just saying that
anything.
shows that there's a perception.
Yes,
problem.
and what
That's all
I'm
I'm
saying-
It is a perception problem, but,
Stressing is, please, try to do everything you can to dispel any kind of perception. I don't know what that is. If I could do that, I would. But there's a number of different options and ways to go with this that could solve 3 problems at once. But no one seems to be wanting to go in that direction. Again, we have a new board of selectmen, and a totally new board. If you go to a meeting, you would not believe how this works. And I'm amazed. I'm disgusted, actually, with 2 of them, because they're... Nevertheless, anyway, that was my reason for coming, was just to suggest that it's possible to do this police station with no tax impact, which makes a new library building, the current one, much easier to swallow. When there's no tax impact to build one, the minimal tax impact for the next one comes along,
when
And
you
you
say-
can gain a building here that can be used for, I would move the town offices here myself, because that is a disaster. It was good when it started, but things have expanded and got bigger, doesn't really meet the needs of the town anymore, I don't think, Christy.
So just to be clear,
Mhm.
you are supporting the project across the street for a new library and not Skip's idea for an addition here? Am I
Not yet,
misunderstanding you?
not Skip's idea yet. I want it to be vetted just like everyone else does, there is a possibility.
Okay, so.
Until that idea
So
came
this is
along,
just even another way
I was
that.
supporting this building, however, my constituents whom I represent don't, and I have to vote that way as a budget committee member, for example. I have to present their case, but when I vote with my own vote, I vote the way I want to. This
Okay.
brings up a whole, this is
Yeah,
this has just
absolutely
opened up a
does.
can of, not worms,
No,
but
no, it's
a
not
can of
worms at all.
sardines, which I like to eat. This is it's a possibility, so.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've been hearing for years that we cannot expand here, and now I see a potential for expansion, and the
We-
potential to expand,
We never liked it because when you took the parking spaces away, we're going to have to park back there. That was why we
Well-
never liked. And
that's not why I didn't like it. I just didn't think that it was gonna suit our needs and that we would get enough space. Now Skip is saying that we can get enough space. That's
400
a very
square feet
interesting
more.
concept. Pardon?
400 square feet more.
Then the
400
square
more than
feet
the building
more
across
than
across the
one
street,
across the
it
street.
was
Oh, okay,
8,600 square feet. It's very interesting.
Yep.
But I think we're right, we have to get an architect to look at this and see what the
Thanks for
inside is
coming.
gonna look like and
Sure.
what can we do with it.
Well, as this is all pointed out, everything's intertwined, and
Yeah.
selectmen
Thank
got to
you.
be full.
Thanks.
You're
Yeah.
welcome, good luck.
I would like to say that I
You
appreciate
want
the
some help on the
trustees'
way out?
openness and willingness to explore another option, even if, considering that the town itself has gone so far with the current plan.
We are not in the empire building business.
No, and you're not casting concrete on anything as well.
Well,
That's
we,
very good.
we
Or
reckon,
nasturtiums.
our goal is to recognize the
I said or
needs
nasturtiums.
and try and address
Try to
them,
meet.
which we have done in a totally totally forward-thinking manner for the last any number of years.
Right.
We have some, I've been criticized on social media for having the audacity to stand up at town meeting and say, yes, this library will be built. And it is going to be built. It's some, under one incantation or another, something is gonna be done, because the needs of the community need to be addressed.
Sure.
But as I say, nothing is written in stone. We're willing to look at everything, so.
I would like to say, too, that I appreciate the openness of your meetings. It's really the way the town of Tuftonboro ought to operate. And
Thank you.
we do all right with this and with the library trustees. I'm very pleased with that. You guys are just folks, and folks is what we all are.
Okay, that's good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I have just one thing. In terms of the fundraising, have you looked into using any type of crowdfunding, such as generosity.com
Or GoFundMe or something like that.
GoFundMe, et cetera, or even just direct PayPal?
We have had two, well,
I know they take out a cut, but it,
no, at this juncture,
Yeah.
okay, at this juncture, we have two people. We had Jill Cromwell, who runs the fundraising for the Cows in the Clouds, came out and spoke to our committee. We have a member of the committee herself, who is a recently retired professional fundraiser. Okay, we are following the fundraising efforts are following the business model of when they did the Wolfboro Town Hall, all right?
which
We are
seemed to
looking
work
for
out for them.
pledges. We're looking for pledges, we're not necessarily looking for cash. And the reason, there are a lot of ramifications as why we do it. For example, if I say, okay, I'm gonna give you X thousands of dollars, here you go. I'm gonna take it off as a tax deduction on my taxes this year. It doesn't go, what do we do with those thousands of dollars? Do we give them back? Which is why, there's a lot of ramifications. That's why we're looking at the model we are.
Right, oh, okay, yeah.
And there
That makes sense.
are stages in the fundraising. Okay, there's what's known as a quiet phase. The quiet phase of the fundraising is when we are identifying who we think might be major contributors. We meet with them on a one-on-one basis. The goal is to have a minimum of 50% to 60% of the dollars that we hope to raise in our hand before we have the mass mailing to the town, before we set up a GoFundMe page, whatever. That's how it's working.
That sounds great. I mean, and maybe at a later point, when you have
At a
more
later
than
point?
50%, because I was envisioning, I mean, you could put signs around town,
Mm-hmm.
you can, just because of the ease of, I can just go to this website and give,
Well,
or
that's
even
right.
set up a recurring, like,
Call
I'm
you to
gonna,
help us set it
I'm
up.
gonna give $20 a month or whatever, and if you have enough, obviously you need the big donors who
But
care
that's why
about-
we're going with a
Yeah.
pledge.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
great.
because of it, we want, and the pledges work because when they did the town hall, they had 100% redemption on their pledges. Nobody said, after they said, we're not gonna do it because we changed our minds.
Yeah.
And I assume, knowing the committee, that I just can't see tacky tactics.
No,
We don't need any more.
But wouldn't it be lovely if we
Negative.
didn't have to raise quite as much?
that's true.
Yes, that would be quite lovely.
Okay.
But it sounds like you said you have about 100,000?
Cash and cash equivalencies,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Good job.
Okay. So, if there's no more public input, we will move on to the balance of our meeting.
Before we move on to the balance,
I'm sorry.
I made it pretty clear, I think, that I was gonna resign as the secretary for this meeting on, once we went
Okay.
into the new meeting.
All right.
So because I don't mind continuing as corresponding secretary, but I find it very difficult to take the minutes and contribute to the meeting, and
Right.
it makes it very hard. So one of the suggestions that I'd like to make is that we get another alternate trustee that would be responsible for taking minutes. And I have a person in mind, but I'm not sure that they could make an 8 o'clock meeting because they do work.
Be new business, or?
Well,
Yeah, let's,
I'm just saying that I don't mind taking the minutes this morning, but I don't want to be responsible
okay, that's fine.
going forward to do this.
Very good.
All right, and I thought that I was clear that once we stopped, that maybe Paul would be willing to step up and do it, or have someone else do it. I
I
find
understand.
it very hard, and plus I have so many other things. Right now, my computer is not functioning the way it should, and it's just one more thing I don't need.
Okay.
I'm here today, I have my computer, I'd be happy to take your notes if that's,
Well, we'll run
Well,
it
no, I'll
today.
be an appointed, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind doing
Let us
it.
get through today and then we'll,
Thanks for the
I have a
offer.
couple of ideas, we
Yeah.
can do it too. Okay, so then, moving on with today's business, approval of the March 2017 minutes.
I didn't find anything.
I did two things. First, under number 4A, about this database figure, we need to reword this somehow. I read this, I didn't know what the hell it said.
Say that again, what?
Christy made note of the fact that now that the database usage figures are being counted correctly according to the state line. That is why that count is over many of the other counts.
I should probably have read that as why that account has been. It's now over many of the other accounts, right?
Which counts were those? I don't know, it just wasn't clear to me from reading that what the heck it meant. If I was an outsider looking at that, I didn't know what it meant.
Maybe, can you explain it to us better, Christy, about what?
I think you could-
Previous count?
I think you could put a period after direction and just take the whole rest of that sentence right out.
Okay.
All right, well, then let's do that.
All right, thank you.
And under number 5A, we say the town meeting was discussed. I'd like that changed to the upcoming town meeting. That's all.
Right. This reads as if it had
Yeah.
occurred.
Okay. Motion
You
approved.
got that, Mary Ann, on number
For
5?
the new business,
Yeah, the upcoming town.
Yep.
Okay, motion to approve as amended.
Do I have a second, Marion?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Hey,
Any treasurer's report?
Nothing special, except we do now have the town funds, the first quarterly. There was a little confusion, Diane and I straightened it out, but it didn't actually get deposited until April. So normally it would show in March. Peter Susky got Christy the updated capital reserve, which includes the 75, so that looks nice. Somebody wants to hand us a check for $4,3200, it would look really nice.
We are now, just a matter of public record, we are at $696,830.
Yeah, there's a copy
And
here,
63
Guy, if you
cents.
wanted it.
In hand.
And unless there's questions, that's all I know.
Okay?
Don't you love the interest year-to-date?
Please.
5 cents.
Please.
Oh, God.
Well, the Fed will have, that'll be changing soon too.
yes, and yes, the interest rate on bonds will be going up as well.
Yay.
Yay.
Those who are still household. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Librarian's report.
Okay. Note, kids' fiction circ is up, which is always good.
Yep.
The games that we circulated in March were mainly board games. When the electricity was out, people came in to get board games as well as use the bathroom. And also you can tell that on the other side, on the patronage side, with computer users and Wi-Fi users way up in March.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we had power and a lot of people didn't. Casual users as well. People came in just to use the bathroom or just to read the paper or, you know, brush their
Get
teeth
warm.
or whatever, yeah, warm up. And people really seem to appreciate our just, you know, making the facilities available. Of course, we would do that.
At one point, you had town employees using your Wi-Fi, right?
Yes, we did. They came over here to do payroll and other business on the computers here. I will be going to a meeting on tomorrow at the fire station, which is all the department heads, I guess, just talking about the storm and response and whether anything needs to change going forward. I'm not sure that we would have anything more to contribute than what we already did, but, you know, we put stuff on the website and on Facebook, but, you know, if you don't have electricity, you're not going to be able to access that anyway. But we'll see what comes of that meeting. Let's see.
Just one thing, Christy, which has probably been here forever and I never noticed it, but on the circulation page, down at the bottom, total, the collection count.
Oops.
You don't want to add.
No, we don't want a total there. Okay,
I was gonna bring that up.
we're gonna take the total off that column.
Quadrupled all of a sudden.
No,
Noticed
no,
it
no.
Whoa,
We would be
need
in
more
such,
space.
we would be in
We wouldn't
such
be sitting in
trouble.
this room.
Thank you for pointing that out. No, we
Yep.
wouldn't be outside, I think. Okay, yep, I can certainly fix that.
Okay.
Let's see, this is National Library Week, and I want to thank, I know Paul got in touch with both reps, and the problem is that the budget that the president has proposed cuts all LSTA funds, and in fact, the entire Institute of Museums and Libraries. LSTA funds for us fund the interlibrary loan system and the children's consultant at the state library and the tech consultant at the state library. Those are two huge jobs. And ILL, of course, moves, I think, you know, between 800,000 and 1 million items a year around the state. We are a net lender, but we do borrow as well for our patrons, and that would mean that we wouldn't be able to get anything for anybody that we didn't already have in the collection. So, if you haven't yet, please do contact our reps and senators and urge them to support continued funding for LSTA and IMLA. Okay. Natalie Hebden and I are working on a program for the Friends annual meeting, and we're going to start working on a new lineup of programs if we can find, if she's willing to help put those together. And what else? I have now booked all of the programs for the summer reading. We'll start June 30th, which I thought was going to be plenty late, but now the kids are going to be in school until the 26th.
Snow days.
Yeah, and they used up all their blizzard bags. So, and then we'll have one every Friday in July as well. Let's see. I've also booked a program for us for Old Home Days. We're going to do a Saturday morning breakfast, author breakfast here. So that doesn't interfere with anything except the 5K, which presumably the people who come to breakfast wouldn't be running in anyway. But the person who's coming is Hal Lyon, who lives in Meredith, and he, a few years ago, wrote a book called Angling in the Smile of the Great Spirit, 600 Years of Fishing Masters on Lake Winnipesaukee, including a bunch of stories about people who are either related to people in this town or everyone will know who they are, and so he'll have some stories to tell and some slides. It's been interesting working with him because he's in...
Once caught a fish this big. Remember the movie Dave? This big, the robot arms.
Well, one of the stories is about Nanny Cram's dad, who had a secret angling place out in the lake, and it was right in the path of the mount, and he wouldn't get out of the way. And the captain of the mount complained, and they sent the the patrol out and told him to move, and he said, "I've been in this fishing spot for years. My father had it before me, his father had it before him, and I'm not moving. The boat can move." And they changed their course to go around it. And when the boat was going past, he did a cast and hit it in the side with his lead sinker. So I think that'll be one of the stories.
So now you know where Nanny Cram gets her feistiness.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's genetic. It's genetic. So that's all set. We haven't done a breakfast program before, so we're trying to figure out if we want to have breakfast first and then the program, or however that works. But that's just logistics, and we'll figure it out. We'll also be starting a new book club in June. Marianne Markison is going to lead that. Be meeting once a month, probably on a Wednesday morning, and we're hoping to maybe arrange some meetings at the beach in the summer, just for fun.
Break out my flip-flops.
What?
Break out my flip-flops.
Absolutely.
When is it starting?
June 15th. On May 5th, I was contacted last week by Jennifer Selfridge of Carroll County Public Health to ask if we would be willing to serve as the venue for a Narcan training. And I said yes. So that will be on Friday, May 5th from 5 to 6:30, Narcan training and dispensing, and what they train people how to administer it, and then they will give a free kit to people who come. And I think we will send at least one person from the library to that training so we can have a kit here at the library, just in case.
Thing is, we didn't anticipate 10 years ago.
I know. The next month is the student art show, and I've been in touch with Marcia Kiley-LeMay, she's working with Phyllis Tessier and the student council over there and the art club. They do want to do another opening this year. Last year was the first time they did that. So they are working on finding a date for that. The show, she's going to put the show up on May 2nd, and I would assume that the event would be maybe that Friday or the following Friday, I'm not sure. But as soon as I know the date, I will let you guys know. It was a lot of fun last year, and it was, I think the most fun of it was watching the kids present their projects to their parents, to their friends, to their, And the wonderful thing about this show is that there is always something from every child in the school on display. Yeah, it's wonderful, it really is. We had, Gordon, we had the annual tri-state fire testing people through last week, and all of our extinguishers are good, but we had to replace some batteries for the emergency lights, not the exit signs, but the
Oh, the lights.
yeah, the lights. And Gordon provided us some new batteries, thank you very much.
Well,
We tried to install them yesterday. Caleb Pike came over and put them up in the battery holders, but there's something wrong. Some of the lights work, they work out in the main building, but none of the ones in here, in this room, or the back entryway work, and we couldn't figure out why. So Caleb has put Post-it notes all over, and I called Mike Phelps yesterday because I think this is an electrician problem now. It's not the batteries, it must be something else with the breaker or whatever. So Mike is still in South Carolina, but he'll be back next week, and he said the library is number 2 on his list of things to do when he gets home. So we'll see if we can get that figured out. In the meantime, it's only this room that the emergency lights don't work in, but the exit signs do, so it should not. I hope it won't be a problem. We'll put some flashlights in here just in case.
Space light later.
Yeah. I think that's it. There was some question at the selectmen's meeting on Monday about possibly making payroll bi-monthly instead of weekly, but they're exploring that, so.
Legally, I think hourly have to be paid weekly, don't they?
I can't address that.
Salaried people, that would be fine, but I
Yeah.
think legally hourly have to be paid.
Oh, really?
I
don't-
believe so. Now, maybe municipal is different and doesn't fall under labor
Well,
law.
They did say they were gonna explore the possibility, so I guess that will come up if it's an issue. I think that's it for me.
Another pen.
Marianne?
Huh?
Can you take that?
Let me grab it.
Okay, thank you. Under new business, we'll wait till she
Yeah, we,
comes back. Did you bring your copy? Did you read it? Okay, new business. As we discussed last month, the town has implemented a drug and alcohol policy, which Christy provided with us last month. And I hope we all had an opportunity to read it and review it. We have nothing in our library policy right now dealing with drugs or alcohol. I would be happy to entertain a motion to include the town-approved drug and alcohol policy as an addendum to the library policy. Move to have a second, or do you want to look at it? We get a little bit more.
now I can more or less know what it is.
Yeah. Once again, things I never thought we really have to worry about at the library, but obviously it's a different world than it used to be. So, move, and I will second. Any discussion?
Still not in favor of helping the government do its job, enforcing the drug laws. It's just-
Well, this is,
Well, I don't think we'd be having Narcan training here if people would take this a little more seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's a problem in
This is a
society.
huge problem, and we have to do something.
well, as far as there's nothing in here that I found particularly
No.
objectionable. It's pretty much what's going on in the rest of the marketplace, as far as pre-employment testing and that sort of thing.
Right.
And efforts to maintain a drug-free workplace.
Right.
Very difficult thing to do.
Okay.
very difficult. They say that in Denver, Colorado right now, it's almost impossible to find anybody who wants to work in a restaurant because they're making so much more money in the marijuana business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last.
Yeah, well, that's true, let's hope not. With that notwithstanding, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed in like manner? Motion passes.
I do, wait, before you go on, I have, they just approved another addition to their policy, which is on harassment, which we also don't have anything about in ours.
Well,
So I brought a copy of this for everybody.
as is our policy, we'll have a chance to review this and we can act on this at the next month's meeting.
Was that a nay vote?
It was.
Oh, okay.
Good. The only thing I had this morning, on my end of it this morning for new business was clarification of the circulation reporting. There seems to be, once again, in the world of social media, some confusion as to how our numbers are generated, so on and so forth, what we're reporting, what we're not reporting, what the state is requiring. So I asked Christy to take just a few moments to,
Kill another tree.
kill another tree.
I know, sorry,
And
guys.
then to make sure everybody out there understands what we're doing.
Okay, this is two-sided. And this is for 2016. Okay. There was a lot of confusion this year about the state library report. The person who has been in charge of it at the state library for the last several years left abruptly in January, and the people who took over, there was just a lot of confusion. The first time I started doing these reports was last year, so I was in the maelstrom of confusion as well. As it turns out, we had been counting our database usage incorrectly. We were counting sessions instead of actual usage. And I have gone back in and corrected our statistics for 2016. And I am more than willing to work back and see, what can be done about previous years, because I think looking at our database usage in 2016 and then back, if you're looking at circulation by material type, it's pretty clear that we were undercounting in previous years as well. Some of the issues that are involved in going back and making the changes are that I don't have this file for anything except 2016. This is, month by month of everything. This is the raw data. So that's one reason that I was able to go back and fix up 2016. But even now, if you look at this sheet, which is comparative circulation statistics, you will see that our figure for 2016 is 40,413. The state libraries is 40,619. So I don't know what kind of a difference 200 makes in the 40,000 realm, but I'm willing to try and chase that down if you would like. There aren't that many years when we're different, and sometimes we're a little over the state library's count, and sometimes we're a little under the state library's count. I can go back and look at state reports, and I can look at some of our monthly reports, but when we had the Russian ransom hack a couple of years ago, some of the files that got locked were monthly circulation files. So it's, putting it all together again, I will do the best I can if you would like me to go back and make the changes. If not, then what I would suggest is that we look at these figures and maybe take the lower one for each year, just so people don't think we're trying to amp stuff up without any evidence.
I'm not trying to pad the books.
Huh?
So it would only be, if we were to take the lower,
they're all pretty close, you know, I mean, there
Right,
isn't
but it
anything
would
that's-
only be, you've done, well, we won't count this year, so you've got 9 years of full data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
On the other side,
Oh,
goes back to
jeez.
1998.
Okay, so, oh, well, on the first page, 9 years.
Yeah.
There's, if we were to take the lower, it's only 3 of the 9 that the state is lower than what you've reported.
Right.
And then on the back page,
There's one,
1.
yeah.
I don't, my opinion is Christy's time is too valuable in a lot of other directions.
Well, no, I just wanted to make sure that at least voted that.
Right, but we have the information. And this-
2016, I mean, I can't even talk to the person at the state library who
Right.
did it this year because she's on vacation, but next year I can check in with her,
Right,
and, I mean, next week I can check in with her, and I will do my best to make 2016 match up entirely, if you would like.
When we're reporting to them,
It's mostly database stuff still,
that
even,
they're recording, so it's,
So it's database, that's all these errors are in what you consider to be database usage. Is that pretty much right?
yes, that's pretty
Yeah.
much right.
okay.
Okay, well, that's not the biggest deal in the world.
Well, no, but it does show usage.
Yes, it does.
I don't mind spending a little more time and just digging a little farther and seeing, you know, what I can reconcile.
Well, I didn't bring this up I just wanted, I agree with Marge 100%, there are a lot more fruitful uses of your time. I just want to make sure that everything is up and out and people understand, you know, that, what happens to some of our, that we don't count things every year in a consistent basis because some things have disappeared.
Well, you can tell that by looking at this one.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
right.
That some things we don't have anymore, some things we just added last year, something, it's sort of apples and oranges. But my main concern is that we, at some point, have to give the planning board an update on the library for the master plan revision. And I just want to make sure that, what the numbers that we're giving are as
true and accurate as we can.
Yes.
I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
Yes.
so if you can work with her and but verify 2016.
Yeah, can definitely do that.
What I'll take these, and I think, at least to me, is always useful, the years that we're off, I'll figure out what percentage is that of the state report.
Thank you, I would really appreciate that.
Okay, and I'll, is this an Excel report you could email to me?
I can email you that, it's not, I'll email it to you.
Okay, and then I can do it right down here and email it.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it useful for you to have these other ones as well?
Unless you want me to do something with them, no, Christy.
No, okay, I'll just email you
Hi,
this.
Mary Ann.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
We've got story hour starting.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to, so we're gonna.
Yeah.
The only other things I have under old business were as I alluded to earlier, the capital campaign, we meet again next week. We are at the point now where virtually all of our printed material is going to be ready to go to pre-printed.
If we decide we're going to take it to the printer.
Well, that's, one thing is not going to preclude
No.
doing another thing at this juncture. As I say, we had an incredibly generous money equivalency offer this past week,
Good.
which is, as I said, it's getting us close to $100,000.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. And the other thing, of course, everybody's all signed up for the trustees
Yes.
convention.
Checks mailed, checks in the mail.
And
Okay.
I think Natalie and I will probably carpool so we can talk about programs and stuff.
Okay, all right. But we will,
So you are gonna go?
I am.
Okay.
we're meeting before our next trustees meeting, right?
Right.
So we
May.
can discuss what we
Yes,
learned.
yes. Next meeting is,
Thursday, the
May,
11th.
Which is before the.
Before, the conference is the 23rd.
Yeah, okay.
oh, right, yeah,
All right, so we'll discuss what we do in June.
okay.
Okay, and not to rush the subject, but normally our meetings don't take an hour and a half, but which is why we're.
You can hear the kids.
Story hour starting, we're right about
The
now.
kids
So,
are ready.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before you adjourn, I'm willing to attempt to do the minutes next month, see how it goes.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Those in favor, aye?
Aye. Aye.
Yep.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you for your coming.
Oh.